All right, welcome to The Explainer. Today, we are going to tackle a term that gets thrown around a lot but can feel, well, a little fuzzy. We're talking about metabolic dysfunction. Let's break it down.
Okay, so think about your body for a second. It's kind of like this incredible high-performance engine, right? It's always running, turning the food you eat into energy. But what happens when that engine starts to sputter, when it misfires? That right there, that's the heart of what we're diving into today. So, what are we really talking about here? At its most basic, metabolic dysfunction is when your body's whole energy management system goes haywire. We're talking about a breakdown in how you process sugar, how you use fat for fuel or decide to store it, and maybe most importantly, it's when all the little messengers that are supposed to be coordinating this whole process start getting their signals crossed. So, here's how we're going to break it all down. First, we'll look at the idea of the body as a broken engine. Then, we'll zoom in on insulin. It's the master regulator here. After that, we'll talk about the whole symphony of other hormones involved, how our lifestyle choices kind of conduct that symphony, and finally, we'll look at the domino effect when it all starts to unravel. All right, first stop, the body's broken engine. See, metabolic dysfunction isn't really one single thing. It's more like a cluster of problems that tend to show up together. You know, things like extra weight around the middle, high blood pressure, wonky cholesterol levels. It's really less of a specific disease and more like a system-wide glitch.
And that glitch, it really all comes down to communication. Seriously, in a healthy body, there's this constant chatter going on. Your fat cells are sending messages to your brain, your pancreas is talking to your muscles, but in dysfunction, it's like a bad phone connection. The signals get staticky, they get delayed, or worse, they just get completely ignored.
And that breakdown in communication leads us right to the single most important voice in this whole conversation: insulin. You can think of insulin as the ultimate gatekeeper. When you eat, your pancreas sends it out, and its job is to knock on the door of your cells, unlock it, and let the glucose, the fuel, get inside. Now, this is central to understanding the two main types of diabetes, because they're both about insulin problems. With type 1, it's an autoimmune issue. The body basically attacks and destroys its own insulin-making factory. But with type 2, which is what we see more often with metabolic dysfunction, the factory is still up and running. The problem is, the cells have stopped listening to the insulin it's sending out.
And this not listening, that's a huge concept called insulin resistance. It's almost like your cells have put on noise-canceling headphones. So what does the pancreas do? It has to shout louder. It pumps out more and more insulin just to get the message through. But eventually, it can get tired out. And this one problem, it's a major driver behind not just type 2 diabetes, but a ton of other things like PCOS and fatty liver disease.
But here's the thing, insulin isn't working alone, not even close. It might be the lead singer, but there's a whole band playing behind it. So, who else is on stage in this metabolic orchestra?
Well, that brings us to this incredible symphony of hormones. Your body's endocrine system is constantly sending out these little chemical messengers. They're basically the conductors for, well, everything, from your energy levels to when you feel hungry. And for your metabolism to work right, all of them have to be playing in perfect tune.
Let's meet a few of the key players in the orchestra. You've got leptin and ghrelin. Those are your I'm full and I'm hungry signals. Then there's cortisol, the famous stress hormone. We know that when it's constantly high, it's linked to a bigger risk for type 2 diabetes. And of course, your thyroid hormones. They're the ones setting the tempo, the actual speed of your entire metabolic engine.
Okay, so we've got this whole complex orchestra of hormones, but here's the crucial part. How they behave isn't set in stone, not at all. It's massively influenced by what we do every single day, and that's where our choices come into play.
And this is a big one: lifestyle's powerful voice. Think about it. Everything from what you eat, when you go to sleep, how much you move, all of it is sending direct instructions to your metabolism. You're basically telling these hormones how to act.
And check this out. This is some really striking data. It shows that the rate of diabetes is way higher for shift workers, especially those with really irregular schedules. So why would that be? It's because it completely messes with our circadian rhythm, our internal body clock. That clock is tied directly to when hormones, like insulin, are supposed to be released. Working against that rhythm is basically telling your body it's noon, when every internal signal is screaming that it's 3 a.m.
But on the flip side, things like intermittent fasting can act as a powerful reset button. See, when you're not eating, your insulin and leptin levels naturally drop. This gives your whole system a much-needed break. It forces your body to switch gears and start burning stored energy. That's a process called lipolysis, where it breaks down fats for fuel. And over time, doing this can actually help your cells start listening to insulin again. And this is just fascinating. Some research shows that even things happening way back in early life can set the stage. For instance, in animal studies, disruptions in breastfeeding led to signs of metabolic syndrome way down the line. It just goes to show you how sensitive this whole system is and how these patterns can get locked in really early on.
And that brings us to the final and maybe most important piece of the puzzle, the domino effect. Because when this communication breakdown keeps happening, it's almost never just one isolated problem. No, it's more like tipping over the first domino in a long, long line. Just look at this. That single root problem of insulin resistance is connected to a huge range of other conditions. We're talking diabetic kidney disease, chronic heart failure, PCOS, you name it. On the surface, they might look like totally separate issues, but so often they're just different branches growing from the exact same tree.
And let's be clear, this isn't just an adult problem. One study found that almost 37% of kids with a specific condition affecting their adrenal glands, a key part of that hormonal symphony, were already showing signs of being overweight or obese. It's a stark reminder that these dominoes can start to fall and fall early. Okay, so we've looked at all these connections, all these different parts of the system. What's the big takeaway here? What's the crucial point we need to remember?
Let's boil it down. Here's what you need to know. First, your metabolic health is all about communication. It's this huge interconnected web. Second, insulin is the absolute key player, and insulin resistance is the main problem we're up against. Third, remember, it's not just insulin, it's a whole symphony of other hormones. And finally, and this is the empowering part, our lifestyle choices, what we eat, how we sleep, are what conduct that entire symphony.
So when you think about it, your metabolism is in a constant conversation with you. It's talking to you all the time through things like your energy levels, your hunger cues, how well you sleep. The real question at the end of the day is, are you listening to what your body is trying to tell you?